morning, Cavs fans. Welcome to another episode of the Cavs Pick and Roll Podcast, the podcast for diehard Cavs fans. Alex, I'm not even going to ask how you're doing because I already know the answer. The important question I want to ask you, after 8 games into the Cavs season, is it time to worry? Is it time to worry?
Is it time to worry? No, it's way too early. It's way too early.
Alex, we talked about we were going to rip them before we we're going to trash them.
They
panic button.
They played terrible. I'm not gonna lie, they played pretty terrible this last game. But no, there's no hitting the panic button yet. It's way too early. Garland's only played in 3 or 4 games. They got to have some time to mesh. I don't know. No, it's way too early.
We're gonna be 30 games
tournament
in.
Doesn't mean anything.
We're gonna be 30 games in, and then you're gonna say, "Well, it might be time."
Yeah.
The worst part of this, we talked a little bit about this, I think in the last episode. You know, you went 6 months or so as a Cavs fan, off season, right? Early exit, New York Knicks, Stings, and all that stuff, and just not the start you wanted to see. As far as being a Cavs fans for the season.
Then you win the Summer League championship. You're flying
high.
Right.
Yeah, you're flying high, man, right? You know? And they made some nice off-season moves or additions, right? And this team is just very helter-skelter right now. You don't know what version is going to show up. And yes, it's only 8 games in, but man, it's enough to expose a whole hell of a lot of holes on this team, or at least it feels that way. And we can't even blame the injuries anymore because we did get DG and Allen back since the last time we recorded. Sure, Okuro's out, Ty Jerome's out, Ricky Rubio's name isn't even spoken these days anymore. So yeah, you're a couple bodies down, but when DG and Allen came back, you know, I remember being excited, right? Like the cavalry's coming, and it really hasn't made much of a difference.
It's only been 3 games, right?
I know, but man, they're just the way they're playing and the way they're losing these games. It's just painful to watch.
Yeah, Garland's been really rusty. That's what's been killing me. Watching Garland.
Yeah. And I'm gonna be, and I hope this shifts because I don't want to be. I'm going to be tough on Garland this year. You got to remember, Cavs fans, Darius Garland has the biggest contract in Cavaliers history. 8 turnovers against Oklahoma City Thunder. 5 of them in the first quarter. Yes, coming off an injury, but he's been just up and down this year. Hopefully he smooths out, gets back to the DG we know he can be, and so on and so forth. But yeah, you just can't have the guy controlling the ball, running your offense, careless passes, just throwing the ball away. It's going to hurt you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just isn't playing like himself. So hopefully, hopefully the injury isn't still nagging him or something like that. But again, I'm going to be tough on him this season if this continues because we got a whole lot of money invested in him. You know what I mean? So just unfortunate. Unfortunate.
I don't want to throw all the blame at him. I mean,
no, totally.
After watching the last 3 games, there's some things that just stick out to me. That
preach on it.
It's the whole team, man.
It is.
It's I don't know if it's JB's rotations or just in general who the personnel are that are on the court, but there's like a real lack of player movement. You see guys just standing on the perimeter, just like kind of waiting while whoever has the ball, usually LeVert, Garland, or Mitchell, are kind of over dribbling, doing their ISO thing, while everybody else is just kind of standing in their spot. And that's killer. That's killer. You need guys to be moving without the ball. You need to be running plays, setting picks, screening. And you don't see a lot of that.
It's the hottest topic on Cavs social media today is JB's head, basically. And the fact that his rotations have been poor, and that goes back to last season in the playoff series. We talked about that multiple times. And yeah, he's starting to lose a lot of goodwill, at least with Cavs fans. And listen, it's predictable, right? Any team that has an expectation that's not meeting that expectation, the first scapegoat is always the coach, right? And he's been here, what, I think this is his 5th season with the Cavs now, right? And he's had a good run, but I don't know what's going to happen here. If the Cavs continue to kind of play up and down like this, and you're all of a sudden you're 20, 25 games into the season, and you're under, you're right around 500, let's say at that point, Cavs might be stuck and put in a position where they might have to make a decision, right? Because it's just not going to get it done. The expectation, the bar is much higher than 500 basketball. So 8 games in, there's a lot of time for adjustments to be made and to get back on the right path. But you're just, again, as a Cavs fan, you're seeing a lot of red flags, a lot of gaps, a lot of things not to be happy about. And to be quite honest with you, it's not making it fun watching these games. Who the heck wants to just watch their team not play up to what they're capable of?
Right. Yeah, I mean, to lose to the Oklahoma City Thunder twice, I mean,
Oh, God.
It's
all-star lineup over there they got, right? I mean,
right.
Go ahead, name
I mean,
them off. Name them off.
Shea, SGA, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and
yeah,
and who else? Josh Giddey.
Chet, I'll give him Chet. They have
playing really well. Like, I'm
Chet's been
impressed
playing
with Chet.
good. Chet's
you
solid.
Look at him; he looks like he's like 7'2", 90 pounds, but
yeah,
he's
205. Him and Mobley can have a sumo match.
So thin and lanky, man. He's the lankiest dude I think I've ever seen. It's crazy.
He fits the style of today's NBA, for sure. But like, I'll give that the Thunder have like 2 nice pieces between those two. Okay. And you bring up Josh Giddey, and I know there's some people that are get giddy about Giddey, but that's probably only if you're an Oklahoma City Thunder fan. Like, when I look at this roster, they're a very young team. They seem to play well together, have good, cohesiveness and all that. Wish the Cavs had that, but to lose to them twice already this year, naming the players that we have on this roster and the experience that's on this roster, it's just gut wrenching, man. Same thing with the Pacers. The Pacers are, they're always a tough nosed team, but you lost twice to them as well. And, so it's just disappointing losses because, again, these are teams that you're better than. Let's just be honest. You're better than these teams, and you're losing to them. And nobody wants to see that.
Man, Giddey was catching alley-oops and throwing them down on us. Like,
he is like, what is
Mobley,
he like
Allen, TT, where are you guys
Giddey
at, man? You guys got to box you out. You can't let Giddey throw down alley-oops on you.
He like dwarfed Garland.
Oh, my God.
He's 6'8". He's the Penny Hardaway of this era. Jesus.
Hold on. Let's calm down for a second.
My childhood favorite player, Penny Hardaway.
Yeah. Played with Nick Anderson.
Through something I saw him today, and yeah, so I figure throw him out there. But yeah, no, just disappointing to lose to just a young team that, again, has some nice pieces. They play up and down. I will give you that. AC kept saying on the broadcast, like they're a running gun team for sure. And that's part of the other problem is the Cavs defense. We prided ourselves on being an elite defense. Well, guess what? 60 points in the paint against Oklahoma City. And again, you have Allen back, right? You have Mobley there. You have your Twin Towers. So it's just, I don't know. They don't have that same kind of just confidence right now that we've seen in the past. And I don't really know what it is. And like you said, maybe some of it is the rotations. And there's plenty of Cavs fans out there that are pointing at that right now. And again, pointing at JB's head as a result. Another thing that caught my eye in that game, the OKC game, outside of the turnovers, was the free throws. Cavs missed some free throws, man. They missed 10 free throws in that game. Oklahoma only missed 2. They went 28 for 30. We went 27 for 37. So, the Cavs got down early with all the turnovers. They were outscored, both quarters in the first half. Second half, they did better. outscored the Thunder by a few points each time, but it's just they got back in the game and then they got out of the game again and let the game, slip away from them as a result. And the tough part about all this too, in a loss like that, Alex, is the Cavs are on a 4-game West Coast road trip right now, and not starting off on a good note by losing that game to a young Oklahoma City Thunder team. You have the Golden State Warriors waiting for you this Saturday in Golden State. He's probably going to be looking for a little bit of revenge from the last time the Cavs actually had a win in Cleveland against Golden State. And they're on a little bit of a skid. They lost against Denver as well. So I'm sure they'll be looking to come out at home and get back on the right track. So it doesn't get any easier for the Cavs moving forward either. They got the Kings after that, followed by Portland.
And these are all still in-season tournament games, right?
No.
No?
It wouldn't. No, but that would make sense, wouldn't it? No. Let's talk about that. So, the game in Indiana was the first in-season tournament game. What was that? Game 5. We're starting the in-season tournament at Game 5 already. And first, what did you think of that court?
Oh man, it was very blue. It was like a bright blue and yellow, almost kind of like I don't know if anybody plays Cyberpunk, right? But it was like
Yeah.
Cyberpunk themed.
AC
It
had
was
the
blinding,
best
man.
line. AC had the best line of the game because they talked about our court, and AC's like, I like our court much better, especially compared to Indy's. I don't have to feel like I have to wear sunglasses with our court. It was tough, man. It was tough to watch just on the broadcast. I can only imagine playing on that. And I don't know if they had some weird coating material on there or whatever, but I saw players on both teams slip during the game at least 4, 5, 6 different times during the course of the game. Our court at least doesn't have some it's not like pink or something like that. It's kind of like a normal color scheme. You can look it up. The Cavs posted that a while back.
Really good. It's
compared to Indy, it's fabulous.
I mean, standalone, I think it's a fantastic looking court. I really like the theme that they did with the land real big in the center.
Yeah, totally. But I read that like the next in-season tournament is like coming up for the Cavs. I forget exactly who it is against, but it's like spaced out. Like it's weird.
I remember seeing something about a knockout round.
Yeah.
In dates, but I just assumed it was like next week.
Well, sir, the Cleveland Cavaliers had Richard Jefferson do a promo on the in-season tournament. If you didn't see that, you need to look it up. I can't believe they got RJ to do this. They played it before the Indiana game. It's like a minute 20 seconds long, and it's just pure gold because he's so just RJ and he's so hype and he's just explaining it. And I just watched that and I was like, oh my God, this is gold. This is going to be gold to go back and watch 5-10 years from now on YouTube or something like that. It's pretty good. But yeah, they had to put out a video reminding fans of how all this works. And even after watching that, I still don't remember how it works because I was just like, holy shit, it's RJ. And he's way too excited. But I saw a lot of people online just bashing the tournament. Like, what is the point of this from a fan perspective? Just a lot of just negativity around that. And I think there was one player, Halliburton from Indiana, that came out and said, if we're just approaching it like it's another game to win, but if the winner of the tournament had an automatic bid to like the playoffs, then we probably would all be playing a lot harder. So pretty interesting comment. Probably makes more sense from a fan base perspective too, to be rooting for your team if they had something like that. Months back, we talked about like a guaranteed first round draft pick or something like that. They need to do something to incentivize the fan base to watch and care as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just another regular season game. really,
Exactly.
when it all comes
Exactly.
down to it.
Yep. Yep. And what do the Cavs do? Go into Indiana, get smoked. They got smoked in Indiana, Alex.
Yeah.
They got lit up, man. Miles Turner freaking hit, what, 4 or 5 threes, all from the same spot.
Yep.
The Cavs just couldn't contain the Pacers, and they've lost to the Pacers twice as a result. Mitchell went off. He gave you 43, but not going to get you the win when there's nobody else kind of really helping you out along the way. I'm sorry, 38, not 43.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, just
Even
the
with
Pacers outworked
Halliburton
them.
having an off game,
Yeah,
they still smoked us. And he was the one that really put the nail in
the
the
first
coffin
game.
on us on the first game. Yeah.
Right. Right. It was really Miles Turner. I mean, they had good balance scoring. They had, what, 4 or 5 players in double digits. You know, the Cavs did as well, but they did more than what we did. It just comes down to that pretty much. Um, they out hustled us. They outplayed us. And now as a result, you lost twice to the Pacers. And it's just crazy. And I get we're only 8 games into the season, and this happens every year. The standings are always goofy and funny to look at this time of year. The Cavs are sitting in that 11 slot right now. They're down there with the Bulls, the Wizards, the Hornets, and Detroit. And you have teams like the Magic, the Pacers, the Nets, sitting up there in those top 5, 6, 7 seed areas. It's just weird to look at the standings right now.
Yeah.
Tell
I
me to
mean,
stop. Tell me to stop looking every morning, Alex.
yeah. I mean, like I said, man, watching these games, there's a lot of stagnant offense, like guys just standing around and not moving. Uh, I like it when they put Struess out there or Coro out there because those guys, like, they're always running, they're always on the move, they're always rotating. Uh, when those guys aren't out there, it's guys are just standing. It's like hard to watch. I don't understand it. You'll see there's just not any ball movement. I don't get it.
Yeah, there's players that are obviously underperforming so far this year. Is there anybody in your mind that has been overperforming or exceeding expectations for you so far from the games that the Cavs have had so far?
I'd say Struess has surprised me. Like I
Yeah,
wasn't expecting near as much from Struess as he's been putting out there. He's been streaky a little bit,
yeah, he's had a
sure.
couple off games, but
Yeah,
he's had more. He's not your number one option. He's not your number two option, right? He's like your third, fourth, fifth option type of
it,
player, right?
he's definitely a step above Jetty, right? So
I will agree with that. I will agree with that.
so
He has a more
he
pure stroke.
yeah,
He can get hot, and not that Chetty didn't do a lot of little things. Chetty kind of was a hustle player as well, but Strus just gives you effort out there, and right now the Cavs need that because that potentially could be the difference between some of these games. For me, so far, it's been Levert. In that OKC game, Levert finished with 29 points. To be honest with you, he's what kept them, within striking distance. Especially in that first half when Mitchell really wasn't doing much. Garland struggling with the turnovers. Levert just kept being aggressive. Getting to the hole, drawing fouls. He had a real nice pass to Mobley on one of his drives. He just kept playing. And I've seen him do that throughout the course of the season so far. And I said on the last episode, you don't want to be banking on Levert to win you a ball game. That's not the situation you want to be in. He's supposed to be complementing the Garlands, the Mitchells. Like if Levert goes off for 29 and Mitchell and Garland gives you what they're supposed to give you on a nightly basis, Cavs win that game in OKC, no problem, right? But so far, I really like Levert's effort. And again, I think it's hard to tell, right? But again, he knows his role on this team. And yes, he was put into the starting, lineup early in the season due to injuries, but he knows that he's supposed to come off the bench and just keep things moving and get buckets and just hustle and play on the other end. And he was guarding SGA both games. He's guarding, the other team's best defenders too, as well at the same time.
Well, yeah.
So hey, so I'm liking that the Cavs, brought him back for what salary they brought him back. He's here for a couple years. We'll kind of see how things progress with him as the season goes on.
Yeah, no, I agree with you about Levert. I think he's been doing a great job. I think he's really stepped up. He's doing more than he did last season. He's been doing more of the ball handling, and yeah, I mean, you can tell he's obviously got a green light because he takes a heck of a lot of shots, whether they're good
He
shots or
does.
bad shots. But um, I don't know. I still like to see way more ball movement and way more guys moving off the ball.
Oh yeah, no, totally. Our offense is very stale. It doesn't fit today's NBA, and that's a problem. And again, who draws up those plays for the team to run? That goes back to the coach. So again, we'll see. That's going to be an interesting topic to keep an eye on, especially if the Cavs continue to struggle.
It so much reminds me of that old LeBron offense where
Yeah,
LeBron has the ball and he's either going to score it or he's going to kick it to somebody on the perimeter to shoot a three, and that's exactly what we're doing, except with Mitchell, right? Either Mitchell's
right.
going to take it in and score it, or he's going to kick it to somebody on the perimeter to shoot a three, and everybody just stands on the perimeter waiting to see what Mitchell does
Yeah,
or Levert.
right, right. Let's talk about the Golden State game in Cleveland. Probably their best game of the season so far, and was a pleasant surprise as far as a win, considering how the Cavs have been playing so far. We all know the Golden State Warriors pretty well. We saw the familiar faces, Steph, Draymond, etc. And the Cavs get a somewhat convincing win. This was probably their best game of the season so far. Um, so what worked that game, Alex, and why can't they replicate that?
You know, everybody was hot. Like everything was going in. Like everybody was shooting really well. I don't know what was different. I think they just came out in that game and they just you could see that there was a fire lit under them to beat the Warriors. And I saw a stat. What it was the first win against the Warriors since 2016
In the regular season, that one caught my ear too. I
at
was like,
home.
"Holy
Was it
crap!"
at home regular season?
It just said the first win in the regular season since 2016. That's crazy,
That is
especially
crazy.
because LeBron was here till 2018,
Yeah,
right? And the last win, a lot of Cavs fans will remember this game if you were, a Cavs fan at this time. But the last win was in Cleveland, 2016, Christmas Day. That was a heck of a game, classic game. My brother was at that game, jealous that he was there. But yeah, that's the last time the Cavs beat the Warriors during the regular season, which
yeah.
is just
Even I
a
still
bummer.
remember that game. That game went down to
Yeah,
the wire.
it was crazy. It was
Yeah.
crazy. Um, and I also know that the Warriors were on a 5-game winning streak coming into Cleveland for that game. So it was an impressive win for the Cavs. And it's like, okay, this is the team that we know they can be, right? They beat a formidable team and they're getting ready for a road trip. Felt like even though it was only a 1-game win streak, they had some momentum and they just go in and lay that stinker in OKC. But you wanted to bring up um, the second best thing that happened during that game, besides the Cavs getting the win.
Yeah, that would be Draymond Green taking a kick to the groin.
Yeah,
That's karma, man. That's karma.
man, just
That
him on the
was Jared
ground, like
Allen. Jared Allen. Yeah,
photogenic. Like, need to get that printed, just put up on a frame and just hang it right here on the wall, or hang it in the office or something like that. Yeah. Uh, it's just crazy how long those guys have been around now in Golden State. I'll give them props for that. That they're all still, that the three of them are still there. Um, that'll definitely be an end of an era when those break up or they retire or whatever. But yeah, it's Draymond, so it's always fun to get a little laugh every once in a while and
Yeah.
see something like that
He
happen. So
dishes it out. He just can't take it.
you're right. And that was Allen, right?
Yeah, Allen. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about Allen so far with him being back? We talked about Garland kind of being up and down, and he's kind of more down than up. But what's your take on how Allen has looked so far?
I think he's been playing all right. I wish I could see a little more out of him.
Yeah.
He still seems to he gets pushed around a lot under the hoop, and I
Both our
don't
bigs
know.
are getting pushed around a lot. It
Yeah,
feels like
we
it's
got
it's
two really
weird.
tall, thin guys that just can't seem to get position. That's what it seems like.
Allen is on a minute restriction currently. He only played what I think 25 minutes or something the other night. So you know, I, we'll see when that gets lifted, right? If that makes an impact or not. Um, but I'm with you. I thought he looked great the first game back in Indy. Had quick 8 points, early on in the game. Was respectable, but at the same time, he let Miles Turner hit all those threes, and ultimately got outworked. But it's his first game back, and he's been solid. But yeah, we he's also in that list of players that are also underperforming. We know what he's capable of. Dean Wade's another one. We've been talking about him. He horrible in OKC. I think 11 minutes, 0 points, grabbed a couple of rebounds. That was about it. Can't find his shot so far this season. And, he's in the rotation. We'll see for how long until JB makes a change there. But it just feels like the list is too long for players that are underachieving right now for this team. And with that being said, it makes perfect sense why the Cavs are at where they're at right now when you have half your team underachieving.
Mm-hmm.
I see people online saying just play Bates already. It's like, and he got some run early on, but you don't want to have to be in that. You don't want to have to do that. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to have to throw
Yeah.
Bates out there for 20, 25 minutes. It'd be a good learning experience for him, but you're not going to win ball games. So Cavs, man, got to find it within themselves. Better figure it out.
Yeah,
It's
they
gonna be
got
a
to do
long season
something,
if
man.
not.
Like you said, I know a lot of people are throwing the shifting the blame at JB, and man, I mean the buck stops with JB. It's on him. He needs to get the players playing basketball the right way.
That I was thinking about the other day. You had predicted 45 wins for this team.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
I
you might be onto something there.
I mean and when I said that, I said it's we got rid of some mainstays, we brought in some new guys, and it's going to take a while for them to gel, and I
Yeah.
think that's still what we're seeing.
At the end of the day, I do think the Cavs will figure it out. I don't think they're going to be, unless something major happens, like you lose someone, one of the core four for a significant part of the season, like a Mitchell for 20 games or something crazy like that. I do think they'll figure it out. This team's too good to continue to play like this. Just again, it's just, man, why do you got to start the season like this and torture us Cavs fans? We want to have fun and enjoy watching the basketball games. And right now it's not very fun. So
Yeah. Well,
we'll see what happens.
this second butt kicking by the Oklahoma City Thunder, I mean, it's game one of a 4-game road trip, right? So it'll be interesting to see how we do the next 3 games of this road trip, and if how we perform.
Yeah. If they can somehow come back 2-2, that'd be amazing. But that Portland game looks like that could be the one potentially. But who knows? Again, which Cavs team's going to show up? Portland's a young team with some people trying to prove things, and just, hey, it's the NBA. Anybody can beat anybody on any given night if you don't bring it. So the Cavs need to start bringing it and figure out their stuff, man. I
Yeah.
mean, nothing more you can say than that at this point in the
Another,
season.
another thing that now that we didn't mention it, another thing I noticed is like the style of basketball that they're playing. Like last season, they were one of the slowest teams, right? They
Yes.
played primarily a half court game, and this season you see them pushing the ball a lot more. They're trying to up their pace quite a bit, and you'll
Yep.
see them even when it's Garland or Levert or whoever on a breakaway will force that ball. They'll take it straight to the hoop, even if it's 1-on-2, 1-on-3. And, I mean, sometimes it works out, and other times it's, stop, set up an offense, run a play. Don't just toss the ball up, pray for a foul, pray that it goes in. I don't know. I think they're still just trying to figure it out, but
They're trying
it's
to catch up to
opportunities
today's
like that
NBA.
they need to have better decision making when it comes to those situations.
Yeah. They're trying to catch up to today's NBA by playing faster. You're right. They were one of the slowest teams last year in the NBA. And they brought in some more shooting in the offseason. So they're jacking up more threes as a result. Um, the problem is, Pacers game, they went 8 for 28. I think in the OKC game I saw they went 9 for 29. They're not shooting anything spectacular from the 3-point line on a nightly basis either, which is also contributed. Like you can't keep up with other teams in the NBA. They're jacking up as many threes, but not as many are going in, right? And then throw on the defense not really being there, and again you're having turnovers and missing free throws. It's plain as day why they're at where they're at. It's just, what are they going to do about it? How are they going to figure it out? Is it tinkering with the rotation a little bit? Is it finding it, lighting a fire within themselves? Are we going to see something about a players only meeting after they get slaughtered Saturday night in Golden State? Like, it wouldn't shock me. Like, what's it going to be? What's it going to be? Right. What's
Right.
going to turn the tide and win?
I think it's going to depend on this 4-game road trip, really.
I do too. I think if this road trip goes real bad, they go 0-4 or 1-3, man, I don't know. Going to be in a bad spot pretty early in the season. You're going to be like 4-10 at that point. Not good.
It's a long season, Corey.
Ugh. It already feels like a long season. It already feels like it's been months. That's the bad part.
It's just because expectations are so high, right?
They are.
Expectations with this team are so high, and we shouldn't be losing games to 2 games to Oklahoma City. We shouldn't be trailing the Pacers by 12 for an entire 40 minutes. It's things like that.
And that's what also hasn't happened for this Cavs team yet too, is just those fun blowout 20-something point victory against some team, whether it's on the road or at home. I don't care. They haven't had that yet. I don't know when they're going to have that. And like, every game has been very close. We're either playing from behind or, again, we're eking out a win, So it's just, man, we're just ready for the Cavs team to show up that we know that they're capable of. And you're right. It's a long season. Overreacting a little bit probably, but I don't care. I'm a Cavs fan. I want to see winning basketball. I want to see good basketball. We have too many good players on this team to be watching the trash that we're watching right now, especially after 6 months of no basketball. I want to see good basketball, man.
Yeah, maybe there's something to that. Like you said, I can only think of one game where I saw the team taking pictures with the Cavs chain, the dog chain. They need to get back to that, having fun and balling out, and that dog mentality of digging deep and winning with defense and making defense turn into offense.
Yep. Find their identity.
Yep.
There you go. So, Alex, I got one random side story that I wanted to quickly bring up. So we talked about in the last episode, basketball video games and all that stuff. And I was playing some games, pulled out an old PS2 game, one that doesn't get talked about a lot. It's called NBA Starting 5. Tracy McGrady is on the cover, came out for the PS2 and original Xbox. This is back when it wasn't just 2K making games. Konami used to make basketball games, believe it or not. And I fire up the game. I'm like, okay, it's 2002. I'm thinking this is before LeBron, and It's after Kemp. I'm like, okay, this should be interesting. And of course, I use the Cavs as I always do. And I go to fire up a game, and I see in the starting lineup a player called N. Anderson. Who the hell is that? So I start playing the game, and I start dishing it to this N. Anderson, who was like a 57 overall rating, by the way. I'm like, why is this guy in the starting lineup? His shot looks kind of off. And this is 2002 graphics, right? It's not like today's 2K where it's like pretty clear image. You could tell who's who, right?
Right.
I finally make a shot after like the 5th attempt, I think, with this player. And I see a little pop-up comes up and it says, Nick Anderson. What the hell? Nick Anderson? Wait a second.
A 57?
He's a 57 rating.
I can't believe that. Why are they doing Nick Anderson like that? That's just wrong.
Even more than that, though, I had to stop the game. All right. And I'm like, wait a second. When did Nick Anderson play for the Cavs? So I start Googling and I look it up, and lo and behold, back in 2002, June 26th, so the offseason of 2002, Nick Anderson was acquired by the Cleveland Cavaliers along with draft rights to Matt Barnes from the Memphis Grizzlies in exchange for Wesley Person. I remember Matt Barnes playing for the Cavs. I don't remember Nick Anderson playing for the Cavs.
Matt Barnes played for the Cavs?
He did. Matt Barnes played for the Cavs in his early days.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. He might have only been here for a season. I'd have to look that up. So my research continued. So my mind started going to these crazy places, Alex. I'm like, okay, it's June when they made this trade. Does that mean he was on the training camp roster? Did he play in a preseason? Like, is there
not in June
a picture of Nick Anderson rocking a Cavs jersey somewhere? And I am on a mission to find that out. He is listed on the training camp roster for the Cleveland Cavaliers 2002. I did find that on a website. I'm having a hard time, though, finding any of the box scores for the 2002 Cavs preseason games, because I want to see if he actually logged any activity, any games. Because where it gets interesting is the Cavs ended up waiving Nick Anderson October 26th, 2002. The season started on the 29th. Okay, so this is right before the season started. Nick Anderson then retires from the NBA. Never played an actual NBA regular season game for the Cavs. But my mind was blown. And when NBA Starting 5, the game came out that I was talking about, that came out after the trade had happened, but before Nick Anderson was released from the Cleveland Cavaliers. For whatever reason, they put him in the starting lineup. And yes, they gave him a 57 overall rating because by that point in his career, I'm guessing he was a shell of himself. He only played 15 games the previous year, probably battling injuries. And Nick Anderson on a Cleveland Cavaliers roster, at least in a video game, and may have played in a preseason game, which blows my mind.
That's pretty good trivia.
And you said his name earlier in the episode. It was killing me not to say something then. And I've said it before on the podcast, man, that Magic team was my team back in the day growing up as a kid with Penny, Shaq, Nick Anderson, Dennis Scott. And just crazy that the Cavs traded for him at some point in his career for Wesley Person. I don't remember. That's good trivia too, because I don't remember how Wesley Person left the team. But man, the Cavs traded for Nick Anderson. And I just wonder if there's, again, an image of him rocking a Cavs jersey, even if it's a practice jersey, a preseason game jersey or something like that.
Did you ever look through your Cavs media guide for that year to see if
you know what? Damn, I forgot. You told me that at work when I told you about this. You're like, you should look through the media guide, and I'm pretty sure I have the 2002 one. I need to look at that up and see if Nick Anderson's in there or not, because again, they released him right before the season, so they would have put that media guide together in advance of when he would have got waived. Um, it's funny. I pulled out another game from 2002, another PS2 game called ESPN NBA Tonight. Another unwell, not a very known well game. Everybody was NBA Live and 2K back then, and NBA Street and stuff like that. Like I like the games that are a little bit more unfamiliar to folks. I popped that game on, go to the Cavs, 2002, right? Well, Nick Anderson wasn't on the roster, and that was because that game came out a little bit later, and they had already removed Nick Anderson from the Cavs roster. So it's just funny how the timing of when games come out and how they set rosters back then. Because back then they didn't push out updates like they do today. If a trade happens today, 2K is going to update it tomorrow, and you could play with that trade or that signing or whatever. Couldn't do that back in 2002.
I don't see where Matt Barnes ever played for the Cavs. I'm on Basketball Reference looking, and there's no stats for it.
Are you serious?
I don't think that happened. No,
I remember him. I remember watching game. I remember watching
on the Cavs.
I remember watching terrible Cavs basketball and seeing Matt Barnes. Maybe my mind's playing tricks on me.
Are we talking about the same Matt Barnes? The Matt Barnes that played with Golden State and the Clippers and
yeah,
the Lakers?
I don't see that he played either. Man, I'm looking through.
He's a pretty
really
scrappy player too.
Yeah, he had a long NBA career, bounced around a lot. So now I got to look up what happened to Matt Barnes after we traded for him. I could have swore he played for the Cavs.
Wait, you said we traded for his draft rights? Is that what it was?
Yeah. So maybe the Cavs turned around and traded him. I don't know. I'll have to look it up.
Some sort of trade for...
They really wanted Nick Anderson, I guess. All right.
That worked out.
Yeah, exactly. That's all I got, Alex. You got anything else?
I see it. Traded by Memphis Grizzlies with Nick Anderson to the Cavaliers for Wesley Person. So they got Nick Anderson and they got Matt Barnes for Wesley Person.
But they must have did something with Matt.
They waived Matt Barnes in October. Wait, when did Nick Anderson... You said Nick Anderson left in October too, right?
Yeah.
So they traded Wesley Person for two guys that ended up leaving in October of that year. Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, that was a great trade. Idiots.
I liked Wesley. Yep.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, I do gotta go look at the
Person end up looking. And now I'm checking to see what his stats were after 2002. Not that great. He was already 31 years old by that point.
Yeah, he was starting to get up there a little bit.
He only averaged 5-6 points a season after that.
Yeah. So he was definitely on the other side of his career, but he had a couple nice years while he was here in Cleveland. I think he was here like 4 years or something like that, 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And he could shoot it. That's for sure. So
yeah.
But yeah, I'll have to look up in the media guide and see if Nick Anderson's in there. If he is, I'll have to take a picture and post that out on the
for sure.
Media for sure. That's pretty cool. It made me think. I wonder what other transactions have happened in Cavs history where the Cavs acquired a player via a trade, a draft, free agency, but that player never actually played a game. And you just said Matt Barnes, but Matt Barnes doesn't have that same ring to it. Like Nick Anderson was a well-known player. The other player that immediately jumps out at me is Jamal Crawford, because the Cavs drafted Jamal Crawford and then traded him to the Bulls for Chris Mim. He was the 8th pick. Chris Mim was the 9th pick. Ended up being a draft swap. And there's pictures with Jamal Crawford shaking Stern's hand, wearing a Cavs hat, video of him getting drafted by the Cavs, but obviously never played a game for the Cavs. And Jamal Crawford went on to have a pretty good career. That one stings a little bit, Alex.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Great player.
I wonder what other transactions have happened. That'd be a fun segment to do at some point. We'd have to do a little bit of research here.
Yeah, that'll be hard to figure out.
That would be hard to figure out, but it'd be fun. It'd be fun if we can come up with a couple more names.
You'd have to look through every Cavs off-season transaction just to see.
I can watch the Cavs get murdered Saturday night, or I could start research. No, I'll watch the Cavs because I'm addicted no matter what. It's like the Browns fans out there. They don't even have a quarterback this year consistently, and they're figuring it out. The hell?
Now I'm looking at this Cavs 2002 roster since you were talking about playing
List them off, and then we'll wrap up.
Zydrunas Ilgauskas, Tyrone Hill, yes. Wesley Person, Lamont Murray, Bimbo Coles.
Yeah, Bimbo Coles was in there. He was my backup point guard that game.
Chris
I was
Mim.
like, really? They had nobody else? Lamont Murray was solid, man. I liked Lamont when we traded for him. He was a bucket back in the day, and he was an under-the-radar player. And if I recall, we got him – I forget what trade we got him in. That one's going to bother me because it was somebody noteworthy. It was like a Cavs player that everybody would know. I don't think it was Kemp. I could be wrong, but I'll have to look that up. But who else was on there?
Michael Doliak.
Yeah.
Andre Miller.
Solid.
Desanya Diop. Right?
Sagana
Diop. Trajan Langdon.
Man, he was on our top 10 worst draft pick.
Yeah.
In Cavs
he was on our
worst
draft list. Ricky Davis.
Davis. Langdon, they made Langdon a beast, though, in video games. They made him super athletic and just like a really good shooter because he was a really good shooter. But yeah, Ricky D. Remember the Ricky D fans? Shout out to them.
Yep. Langdon, the Alaskan Assassin.
Was that it?
That's a great nickname. There's a few more names here. I don't recognize them.
List them out. Come on. Milt Palacio. Smush Parker.
Wait, who'd you say?
Milt Pelagio?
I don't see that name.
Smush Parker?
Brian Skinner.
Yeah.
Jermaine Jones.
Jeff
Trepaganye?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
I don't
can't say his name.
Bryant Stith?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who that is, but he was making $2 million.
Jones was a solid player.
Shooting guard from Virginia.
Who was the coach at that time? Does it say? It's after Fratello. Before Silas, unless Silas was here before LeBron, but I don't think that happened that way.
Gondarina. John Lucas.
Oh, I was just thinking that. I was like, it was the crazy bald guy, but his name wasn't coming to me. Yeah, John Lucas.
They went 29-53, finished 7th in the Central.
Wow.
Good times.
See, like that brings joy to me. Watching Cavs basketball today does not bring joy to me, Alex. I want joy this season. All right? Putting it on my Christmas list already.
All right,
let's get the hell out of here. We stopped talking about relevant Cavs basketball 15 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So let's wrap it up. Cavs fans, if you're still here, thank you as always for tuning in and listening. And Alex, you want to let them know where they can follow us and connect with us.
Follow us on Twitter at Cavs Pick and Roll. Shoot us an email, cavspickandroll@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr. Watch this show on YouTube. Wherever you're listening, click like, subscribe, leave us a rating or review. We'd appreciate it.
All right, Cavs fans, there it is. We will talk to you again soon.
Peace out, Cavs fans.